Being prepared for lab is so incredibly important. And one of those things that you have to do in order to be prepared for lab is to dress appropriately. So I kind of have a list here. So dress for success is following the dress code. And we say dress code because that's the easiest way to reference it, but really your clothes in lab are personal protective equipment. They are PPE. They are on the same level as goggles. We ask you to dress in a way that protects your skin from chemical burns and from getting cut by glass and things. So this is really important. That's why we enforce it so hard. So you need to be covered from shoulder to toes. You need to be wearing closed-toed shoes, long socks, sweatpants, cotton pajama pants, jeans are ideal, and real jeans, not jeggings exactly. T-shirts, goggles, face mask, and long hair pulled back. Things that are not considered in dress code include leggings. We are actually not able to fully ban leggings, but if we could, we would, because leggings can be really dangerous in lab. The leggings that have mesh or sheer inserts, actually we are able to ban them because they have holes in them. So you cannot wear leggings with mesh or sheer inserts. You will not be allowed into the room. You will be allowed into the room if you are wearing leggings, but the reason that we ask you not to is that leggings are made of synthetic material, and also they are tight to your skin. So that means if you spill a chemical on them, not only is that chemical being held to your skin, which is almost certainly a horrible idea, but since it's made of synthetic fabric, if the item that you spilled is like an acid or a good solvent, it will melt it to your skin. And the majority of things that you will work with in this lab will actually do that. So if you were to spill even something like a small amount onto your leggings, it is going to melt and get fused to your skin. This is why we ask you to not wear leggings. It's just a really bad idea safety-wise. And again, if we could ban them, we would. We are working on it. You are not allowed in lab with jeans with holes, so destroyed denim. The reason being that that is skin that is unprotected. If you're wearing ankle socks, there will almost certainly be a gap between the bottom of your pants and your shoes. And the majority of times that students spill things, they spill them because they dropped them on the ground. And so if you drop something onto the ground, where is it going to hit you on your body? It's going to hit you on your feet and on your ankles, on the bottom of your legs. And if your ankles are showing, your skin is going to get burned. But if your ankles are covered with socks, that actually buys you some time because you can take off your shoes, you can take off your socks, and if necessary, if you're really drenched, you can take off your pants. So the idea is always to have layers between you and the chemicals. Now again, I say ankle socks. They are not allowed. And one of the most common violations that we see is that students try to pull up their ankle socks so that they come up under their jeans. That will get you in the door, but 3 minutes later, your ankles are going to be showing again and your IA will kick you out. If they do not, they tend to get in a lot of trouble, and so they are going to enforce this rule. The reason that we enforce this rule is not because we're mean, it's because we care about you and we don't want you to get hurt in lab. So just go ahead and buy some long socks. The 90s have inexplicably come back into fashion, and I can say that because I was a kid in the 90s and I very thoroughly remember the horrible fashion. So long socks are totally back in. Just buy a pair and keep them in your backpack at all times. You only need them 5 times this semester. And then if you take other labs here at Texas State, you'll continue to need them. But this is really important, and it's such a easy thing to fix, but students still slip up on it all the time and get zeros in lab because they forgot socks. The stockroom also sells socks and paper pants. So if you do have some sort of issue with your clothing, there are always options to replace them if you bring your credit card with you. Do not wear crop tops or short shirts in lab. The reason why is that, even if the bottom of your shirt is touching the top of your pants, when you bend over your lab bench, your back will be exposed. And that's another situation where, somebody's walking behind you and they trip and they spill the chemicals. It's going to go down your back, probably into your pants, and then you're going to have to take off your clothes in the safety shower. So it's better to just not wear a crop top. And I know that a lot of these rules kind of seem like they're pointing at female students, but that's not the case. I've actually kicked out a guy out of lab before for wearing a crop top. So anybody can make any of these mistakes. No shorts, capris, short skirts. Another really big issue recently has been joggers. I love joggers. They're super comfortable. When it's not 100 billion degrees outside anymore, I will probably teach all my classes wearing joggers. But the problem with joggers is that they are close to your ankles and they are typically on the shorter side. And so, your ankles and also like the bottom portion of your calf can sometimes be exposed. And then absolutely no exceptions here at all. You cannot wear ballet flats, sandals, Crocs, any sort of footwear that leaves the foot exposed. Even if you put socks on, even if you put lab gloves on your feet. We have seen every possible attempt to get around this rule. You need to wear closed-toed shoes in lab. They should be tennis shoes that are pretty thick, or boots if you would like. But remember that you are trying to protect your feet. You're trying to protect yourself from any broken glass that may be on the ground. You're protecting yourself from any broken glass that you may cause by dropping something on the ground. And you're protecting your feet from chemicals. So if you're wearing like thinner tennis shoes, think like, old style Keds or something, that's not going to protect your feet that much. You want something that's going to give you time to take off the shoe. Also, I would not wear any clothing items whatsoever that you like. Do not wear anything that you like and treasure and want to keep in its current state to lab. I guarantee you it will get messed up in some way. So ideally, you are as unfashionable as possible. You're wearing a t-shirt and sweatpants, cotton pajama pants, or jeans, long socks, and closed-toed shoes, right? So it's a look, but this is just class, right? It's no big deal. Also, make sure that you always come with everything that you're going to need. So anytime that you come to lab, you need to always bring goggles. If you forget them, you can rent them in the stockroom. Actually, this semester we might not be renting. I think we're only selling, and they're $5 or $6 if you purchase them. We're not renting for obvious reasons. You need a face mask. In the first week of lab, we do have some extra face masks if somebody forgets. But after that, you are on your own. You need to be bringing a face mask. You can't be on campus without one anyway. You need to bring your data sheet with all of the required pre-lab work done. And we will always indicate by email through announcements what that pre-lab work is. You need to bring an ID. This can be your student ID, it can be your driver's license. It just has to be an official photo ID. You can also have a picture of it on your cell phone. That will also work. If you need to check out any sort of equipment from the stockroom, which will be pretty rare this semester, you will need to have your ID. Go ahead right now and you can pause this video. Just go ahead and pull out your ID, get your cell phone, and take a picture of your ID. You will never leave your house without your phone, but it's very possible that you will leave your house or your dorm or whatever without your ID. And then after you take the picture, go ahead and favorite it so you don't have to search through a billion pictures of your dog to find it. You need to bring a calculator, scientific, non-programmable, to class or to lab every time. You will pretty much always need to do calculations in lab. This is the same type of calculator that you would need for Gen Chem 1 and 2 lectures, so you should already have one. Another good idea is just to put long socks and a $5 bill in your bag. $5 will get you pretty much anything that you need from the stockroom. You can rent goggles, you can buy paper scrub pants, you could buy socks. It will take care of a lot of problems. They also take credit card. The scrub pants are actually kind of a small miracle for any sort of dress code issues. You can buy scrub pants if you wore leggings to lab and they have mesh panels, or if you wore destroyed denim or your pants are too short. The scrub pants are actually the largest size possible, and they fit every single faculty member. And me being 5'1", I just rolled up the hips a bunch and then rolled up the legs a bunch. So these can actually even cover up, just if you had a bad pant and shoe and sock combination and your ankles were showing. So the scrub pants are kind of a small miracle for most dress code issues. Okay, and then the last part of being prepared for lab is knowing the experiment. And arguably this is the most important thing, but you can't get into the lab if you don't have the other things. So required, you will work out all of your calculations before you get to lab. Anything that we tell you to work out before you get to lab needs to be done. Your IA will be checking it at the door. You need to read the coordinator emails and add notes to your procedure. So if we send an email and say this step has this change in it, you should be reading that and you should write it down, because your IA is going to know that information as well, but they may not announce it to the class because their job is to make sure that they can get you guys started pretty quickly. And so if they forget those small details, that's not their fault. That's on you. You need to be reading those emails. These contain hints, changes to procedures. We also put extra credit opportunities in our emails. Anything that we need to tell you is through Canvas notification emails. So you might need to go to Canvas and check your notification settings and make sure that you are receiving emails from us on a regular basis. And also do your post-lab questions ahead of time when possible. Sometimes it's mandatory, but if I were you, I would do it every time, just because, one, you don't want to have to be in lab longer than you have to, mainly because, COVID, things like that. But also, the other big thing is that often lab can be kind of a time crunch. You don't want to not finish your lab because you had some questions at the end that you actually could have answered before you got there, right? That would just be crappy. So you can do most of the work before you even come to the lab. And always attend office hours if you are stuck. Dr. Weber and I will have office hours. Your IAs, some of them will have office hours, not all of them. There are always places that you can get help. You can also post on the discussion boards. There is a discussion board for every single experiment. So if you are stuck with something, on like a calculation or a post-lab question, before you go to lab, check out the discussions. And before you ask a question, read through the discussion board on that experiment, because I guarantee you somebody has already asked your question and it's already been answered, unless you're like a Monday lab, in which case you might have to post it. But anyway, these are all things that you can do to be prepared for lab. Just reading through the experiment real fast is not going to do it. You need to read through the experiment and make notes in the experiment and actually show up to lab being able to tell your IA what you're going to do.